Okay, so in the previous 3 hours, 1 hour we have studied core of embedded system. In 1 more hours, we have studied memory as well as the sensors and actuators. So today we are going to study the very important topic. So you can expect around 8 to 10 marks question from this part only. Okay, so that's a communication interface. I hope it is not possible to finish in 1 hour. So I think 2 sessions are required for us. Okay, so let's start now. The communication interface. First thing, communication means data exchange. Okay, so data exchange means there should be a concept called as sender and receiver and carrier. Sender meaning is who will send a message or information or data. Receiver means who will collect the data. Okay, so both sender and receiver are connected with each other through the bus or interface. So the process of sending data from one port to another port, one device to another device, okay, one place to another place is done, and it is successfully done through communication. Okay, so in the same way, one more type of communication interface is embedded system. Embedded system, inside embedded system, two components are sending and receiving a messages. That is also communication. And embedded system with user. Okay, if I want to send a message, okay, I will type only on a application like a WhatsApp. I will type on WhatsApp, but it will send it to the my memory, data memory, and it is going to store, then it is processed, then it will be sent to my friend to whom I want to send a message, like this process. So here communication is not only inside the embedded system between two components, it is also between an embedded system and user. Okay, that is what the part we are studying. Okay, so the communication of embedded system is visualized in two methods, very important. One is onboard communication interface and second one is external communication interface. Please don't get confused yourself. Okay, onboard and external. External communication is also called as off-board communication interface. Okay, onboard is also called as internal communication interface. I repeat once again, onboard communication interface is also called as, you can say here, device level or board level internal communication interface. There are 4 standard algorithms we are going to study are, sorry, 5. One is I2C, SPI, UART, one wire and parallel. So if the question comes for explain communication interface fully, I think you need to cover all this. Okay, plus these all. So probably a full question of on communication interface is not possible. So they may ask you like for 8 marks, explain onboard communication interfaces, or for 8 marks, external communication interface. So worst case is what they may particularly ask you explain SPI interface for 3 to 4 marks, one wire for 2 to 4 marks, like that. They may ask you a short note on particular also. So you should study all 4 and you should able to write the answer. So onboard is very simple. There are only 5, but external communication ports, there are heavy like wireless, IR, Bluetooth, LAN, radio frequency, GPRS. These in almost all we are studying here in our this particular chapter. That's why I told only 1 hour is or one session is not sufficient. Okay, let's start now. Onboard communication interface. Okay, see here you can see onboard communication interface. What are the examples? I2C, SPI, UART, one wire and a parallel. Okay, so these are the examples for onboard. So let's take a first definition of onboard. Okay, as we can see, onboard means on the PCB itself, on the same PCB itself, all the components means sender, receiver and media, they are placed. So what is the advantage of onboard communication is the embedded system becomes smaller in size because they are placed really close to each other, closer to each other. Since they both are closer to each other, the size of the embedded system becomes small. And one more important thing, the bus architecture, whatever we are using to connect sender and receiver, the wire will be short. As the length of wire will become reduced or lesser, resistance become lesser. If resistance becomes lesser, the input current will decrease. That means our system will work even in a small current also. But same case is not possible when we go for off the board or external, because here, as the word indicates, one side board, another side sender or receiver. Okay, so they are far from each other. If they are kept far from each other, the length of wire connecting with each other becomes more length, because they are really far from each other. As length increases, resistance also increases. If resistance increases, our current input will increase. That makes more current consumption in external communication interface device and less current consumption in internal or onboard. Okay, that's a first important advantage of onboard. Also some feature of a onboard. And also one more thing is, onboard communication interface executes within the embedded system. There is no work called outside or beyond the embedded system. Everything will take place only inside the embedded system. And all the products, not all the products, like components, sender is one component, receiver is one component, media is a third component. All these three are placed on common printed circuit board, which we call it as a PCB. Okay, hope you understood 2 points. One is sender, receiver, media, all are on a PCB, and everything is inside the system, nothing called outside the system. Okay, hope it is clear now. And so if there is a communication, hope you know in your DC or any of the subject, there are two types of data transfer. One is a serial and another one is a parallel. Okay, if you remember your shift registers chapter of ADE, we have seen this SISO and PIPO. So what do you mean by SISO? Serial input, serial output. There will be only one port, means one exit gate, one entry gate. So everyone should get into that entry door and go out from the same exit door. So it will take n time to transmit n bits in a serial input, serial output mode. Whereas in a parallel input and parallel output, n number of entry doors, n number of exit doors. At a time, all n people can enter, all n people can exit. Hence, it is within 1 second, we can transmit all n quantity of data. Within 1 second of a time, we can send n bits. Okay, so this is possible in parallel data transfer, whereas in a serial, there is only one port, one input, maybe it is an input or a output, only one port, or even we call it as only one pin. So all n bits will move from the same port or pin. Hence they take n seconds of a time, because everyone has to enter and exit through that, okay, the same port. So it will be more time consuming in serial. Okay, like that, even though serial will take a more time, still it is important, because whenever we are not ready to compromise with the quality of the service plus cost, we want a cost should be lesser, embedded system cost should be lesser. So for a cost, if you want to be in the limited, definitely we have to go with the serial input or serial output resistor, sorry, data transmission only, because of the cost limitation. Why cost is important is, we when whoever wants to purchase a mobile or any embedded system, they will put one of the parameters as the money or the cost also as a one of the important parameter. So we should not say it is very speed, so instead of buying 10,000 mobile, buy a mobile who is very fast, whose cost is almost 1 lakh or more than 1 lakh. Okay, so we should, cost is also one more important parameter. For that reason, serial interface communications are, somebody disturbing, Priti Pujar, please mute, otherwise I will remove you from the discussion. Okay, fine. Okay, serial communication interfaces are four, very important: I2C, SPI, UART, one wire, and one more parallel will be there. That's also on board. Okay, so on board, first serial is I2C. Definitely you will get this question in the examination. First, why it is called as I2C? Some authors use it as a I2C. No problem, both are same. Integrated circuit. Integrated circuit. And why we should call it as a bus? Because there is a data transmission takes place. Okay, so what are the important features we should remember? Okay, the points I'm highlighting in red, you know the definitions, so only I'm highlighting. It's a half duplex, means only one side data transfer. If I'm telling, you are listening now, okay, it's a half duplex. If you want to tell, I should stop transmitting a data, and only from your side you can listen. But today's mobile video call or audio call is full duplex. Both can speak at a time. Okay, but half duplex means what? It is just like a radio. What happens? One side person will speak and another person should listen. Okay, so half duplex. And one more thing is one directional communication at a given point of time. And one more important thing is, okay, so if other person, I have given radio as an example. Okay, so half duplex means at any time only one person should speak. Okay, so if another person start sending a data, who was earlier sending earlier, he should be quiet and he should collect. That's a rule for half duplex. Okay, this protocol was implemented by Philips Semiconductor, Philips company in 1980s only. Old communication interface. Okay, so wherever it is best or suitable, it is suitable where there is one microprocessor and peripheral device, or one microcontroller and some peripheral devices. Okay, if we have a system in which microprocessor peripherals are there, or microcontrollers and peripherals are there, that we call it as an embedded system. Hence, this I2C is suitable for embedded system devices communication. Okay, so it has a two lines. One is a serial clock that is decided, I mean, notation by SCL, capital letters. One is a serial data line. Data means SDA. Okay, please remember, clock is for synchronization. Please remember this very, very important word. It is only used for synchronization, whereas data is used for sending the serial data. Okay, so the meaning is we have to send a serial data. For that purpose, we are using SDA line. Okay, so first I will show the diagram of I2C protocol. You can see here SCL line and SDA line. Okay, these two are buses, both are interconnected, hence it is called as I2C. Okay, integrated circuit. I repeat, integrated circuit. So now you see this SCL. Okay, please understand this. This SCL directly connects with slave. Here also the slave. This SCL main is controlled by master. Here we can see the master. One copy is like this. Okay, so SDA. Okay, here I will try to use some of the annotations. Okay, you can use here SDA, this portion. SDA line is in a blue color, like this. Okay, so if we use, okay, here you can see SCL in the red color. SCL in the red color. Okay, fine. So now let us say master want to send a data 101 to slave 2. Slave 2. Okay, what it will do, this data, what is the channel actually? I mean, procedure data is present in the master. Since it is a half duplex, only one way direction, one direction from master to the slave. Slave should not give back. So what it will do first, it will send SCL high. That means all slaves are active. All slaves are active. Okay, and next what it will do, because if they are active, they are ready to receive, but this master doesn't want to give it for all slaves. It want only for particular slave. Okay, let's see how the different work it is. Okay, so what it will do is it will send a data 101 over this SDA line. Okay, over this SDA line. Okay, one drawback of this I2C is master, if master sends, every slave will get a data. But really speaking, slave 2 is interested to collect the data. Slave 1 is not interested, so he will not collect. He won't collect the data because he is not interested to collect. Who is interested? This slave 2 is interested, hence he will respond. How he will respond? He will give first waiting signal. I will show you the 9 step operations, then you will come to know. Okay, he will send the wait bit. So this who has given a wait bit for master, to that slave only this data is sent. Actually this data is available on this line throughout. Whoever is interested, they will collect. Okay, so I hope you understood now. So once I go to the this one steps explanation, you may understand more. Okay, right? Okay, right here. Okay, so serial clock is to make a synchronization, and SDA is to send a serial data. Okay, so fine. These are the some important points we should remember whenever we are explaining for I square C. Okay, many number of I square devices we can connect. Many number of I square devices we can connect. That's the first point. So there will be category called master and slaves. As I shown in the diagram, one will be master and remaining will be slaves. Okay, so always remember, master will stop the data sending. It is not a slave. Always master will start or stop sending the data. Preeti, Poojar and Sharad, I will remove Preeti. Okay, always master will start or stop the communication. Okay, what slave has to do? He has to wait for commands from the master, and also he should respond whether he is interested or not. If he is interested, data will be collected by the particular slave. If not interested, he can leave the data. Okay, so master and slave can act as transmitter as well as receiver. Listen how it works. If master is sending, master acts as a transmitter. If slave is receiving, slave acts as a receiver. After some time, slave want to give the data back to master. So that time what happens? Slave becomes transmitter and master becomes receiver. So both master and slave are interchangeable. Okay. So next, whatever the activity is happening at any point of time, master can send clock signal. Okay, clock signal. I hope you have seen here clock signal or serial clock. At any point of time, the master can send clock signal. That means what? Stop present activity, start of the new activity, or start of the new activity, thereby whatever is presently taking place, those will get stopped. So that means what? Indirectly or not like indirectly, always master is the controlling, master has the controlling authority. Okay, coming back for the steps, very, very important. Step number 1, make SCL high. So where is SCL? This is high. Okay, so if this make you high, all will get a message that something is going to happen from the master side. Okay, what master will do? Master will make SCL high. So these all will get high, SCL 1 1 1 for every slave. So suddenly what all master, all slave will come to know, something new activity will start. Okay, then SDA low. SDA low means if some old data is there, fully you clear it. If you make it 0, so old data, whatever was present here in the SDA, that becomes nothing, means empty. So next, after that, sorry, here it is. After the SDA becomes 0, the master will send address of a slave, either it may be 7-bit or 10-bit, to whom it want to send a data. You can say to which it want to send a data. See here in this slave one, master don't want to send a data to slave one. Master want to send a data to slave two. So it will send a address of the slave two. Okay. So in which line it will send? It will send the address in SDA. Actually, SDA purpose is what? Actually, only the data. Still, it sends address because clock is for only making a synchronization, start or stop. But SDA is for data. One time address is sent, first address of slave 2 is sent, then data is sent. You can see here. Okay. So once that, the slave 2 will respond. Slave 2 should respond because master wants to send data to slave 2. So slave 2 will respond by two options. One is one option and another one is zero option. If it is a one, master can read from slave. Please remember this. Master can read from slave. If it is a zero, master can write on to slave, because not all the time master want to data from this. Sometimes what master want to do is master want to write data, update a data here. Sometimes what, fetch a data and take it from the slave, like that. Okay, so that is what fourth step. Coming for the fifth step, how it works is the master device waits for the acknowledgement. Okay, so once it waits for the acknowledgement, slave should give the response. Well, okay, whether it is ready for read only or it is ready for write also, like that it should respond. So after that, what it will do, once it will tell master is ready, slave is ready for write operation, it will go for 8-bit data transmission. If it is a read, then slave will shift the data to the towards master. This time it is a write, hence master will send a data of 8-bit. Okay, so master will wait whether writing is successful or not. If not, again send same 8-bit data for one more time write operation. If it is success, continue this operation for n amount of time. Finally, how to stop this is again make SDA line low. SDA line high. What SDA was earlier, it was a low. Once SDA becomes a high, that indicates the work of master on slave is completed. Okay, so what happens if the master wants to read from the slave? Here it is simple. SCL is high, SDA is low, and master will send, I want to read it from slave 2, and slave 2 will give the answer of 1. Okay, so what next operation? Okay, master is waiting whether I will get a 0 or I will get a 1 from the slave. So since it is a read operation, master will receive 1 from the slave. Okay, then slave will respond 1 because it's a read operation. Okay, so then this time, please remember this, master will not send data. Instead, slave will send a data. Okay, because it's a read operation. So slave will send a data. Then once slave sends a data, master should respond back whether he has got a 8-bit data or not. If it responds, again next time slave will send second byte of information. Again master will respond. Slave will send third byte of information. Master will respond. If response is not correct, the slave keeps on sending repeated cells. If acknowledgement is correct, next byte of information is shared. Up to what? Once read operation is complete, SDA become high. Now question is, who will update SDA, whether master or slave? Okay, who has to say read is completed? Read completed is decided only by master. Even though slave is giving a data, but master should say, okay, whatever the data I wanted, I got a data, so I'm not going to read more. So that is the meaning. So SDA will become high. I hope it is clear with the operations of I2C protocol. Please remember this diagram. Okay, one disadvantage here is, okay, every time master sends high signal on clock, all slaves will keep their present work pending and keep on waiting for whom master will call. Okay, that is a disadvantage, because what, they may be doing some very important work, they should stop the important work and keep waiting what master may give the instruction. Okay, that problem is solved in next protocol, that is called as serial peripheral interface. Okay, first I will show the diagram. Here you can see not only serial clock, we have a dedicated lines for master sending out, slave taking in, and master taking in, slave sending out. Master output, slave input, master input, slave output. And also please make this important observation. That's a S1 complement and S2. So here there is a separate line for S1, S2, like S3, S4. So what master will do is, instead of sending, please concentrate, instead of sending the bit common over SDA line in the previous, it will send 0. It will send a 0 for any one of the slave, any one of the slave. Let us take a 0 is sent for SS1. So suddenly SS1 becomes active. SS2, no problem, because it has not received any of the activeness, so it will carry out its important work. Only SS1, whatever it was doing, it will pauses, and now it will wait for the instructions from the master. Okay, so this is one extra signal which makes activate prior or deactivate, like that. So activated prior. So now master wants, once SS1 is sent, also it sends a one SCL clock, because for making this active, that I am going to send a data or I want to interact with. Master wants to interact with the slave one. That is done by SCL. Okay, next, master wants to send a data to slave. That means whether master is output. Yes, if master is output, this line, hope you can see, master is output, first line. Okay, master is output. So master is sending. What is slave should do if master is sending? It has to it has to collect whatever is given out from master. Who is taking inside? That's a slave. Hence it is MOSI. Okay, it has given this data. So suddenly slave one wants to give the answer back. So how it will do now? Slave one is giving slave output. Okay, you can see slave output. SO. If slave is sending out, who has to collect? Master has to collect. If master is collect, it is called as master input. Slave is outputting and master has to collect. Through this line, it will collect. Okay. So now one advantage of SPI over I2C is, in I2C, SDA was a common line in which master also sends, slave also sends, both address is sent and data is also sent. So you can see, since it was a half duplex, which I2C, at a time, if master is sending anything, it may be address, it may be a data, or it may be acknowledgement, slave should not send. So what it has to do, the data whatever is sent out should reach somewhere, then it has to respond. But what happens in SPI? Okay, so SPI is what? There are separate lines for master sending out, slave sending out. Okay, slave sending out, and separate signal for activating. Hence what happens, there are ports are more. Since ports are more, we can expect a faster execution than I2C. I2C is little slower than serial peripheral interface, whereas SPI in the short form is little faster than that of the I2C. Okay, now let's go for some important points after understanding the operation of SPI. So it's a full duplex. Why full duplex? At a time you can send, at a time you can receive, because the sending lines of master and sending line of a slave, receiving line of a master, receiving line of a slave are separated. Okay, you can see that. Hence it is bidirectional and full duplex. As we can see full duplex, we can expect a data transmission in lesser time compared to the previous. If the data transmission takes lesser time, definitely we could say the communication interface is more speed, more performance. And what is one important thing is, there should be single master and multiple slaves are there, as I mentioned in the diagram here. So if you connect SS third slave, SS3, fourth slave, SS4, like that you can connect. Okay. So nowadays what is happening is using the, I mean, 1:2 mux or 2:1 demux, etc. Okay, what we can do is using a single bit only, we can connect all this. Okay. So anyway, so what are the other important points are, as I mentioned, master sending out, slave collecting input. Master sending out, slave collecting as an input, master collecting from the slave. Master is collecting from the slave. As usual, two signals, one is for clock, okay, and another one is, okay, this is important. We don't have a SDA, instead we have a slave select. So what this is slave select? Okay, please concentrate. This is an active low signal. So what is importance of active low signal? That means here you cannot send one. If you send one, the slave becomes inactive. If you send zero, particular slave becomes active because it's a active low signal. Okay, right now. So that is what explanation for serial peripheral interface. Okay, some other points how it works. The SPI here, the master is always responsible for generating a clock signal, because master controlled communication interface these are. Okay, master will select particular slave by sending low signal. Okay, why low signal? I think I have mentioned here, active low signal device, and there is a bits, separate bits for selection of the slaves. Hence, what we could say, the point is master controlled, master only select a particular slave by sending a low signal. Okay, so there are two possibilities. Master can collect from the slave, that is called as read. Please remember, master collecting from the slave, that means master input, slave output, that is a read. Master output, slave input, that is a write. Okay, so sometimes what happens? Okay, so the data output line of a serial. Okay, so if you don't select, if you not selected a particular slave, then multiple slaves may try to give the data at a time, or no slave may not give the data. That means what? Here you see, let's see, you have not selected you have given one for this both. So this is also inactive, this is also inactive. Master is expecting data, but nobody is giving a data because both are not interested to communicate. Unknowingly, if master makes both 0 0, that means what? Both will try to push a data towards the master. So that makes impedance. Impedance means what? High force of data arrival. High force of data arrival. There are two type of impedance: input impedance and output. Input means high data coming in, output means high data sending out. Okay, so it's a fully configurable, you can configure according to our requirement. Okay, so what SPI devices consist of? Registers for holding the configuration files. Okay, so that's what for the SPI. So third one here is UART. Please remember this: universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter. Okay, so universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter. First, let me explain the diagram so that you will come to know. Remember, in UART, you cannot differentiate someone as a sender and someone as a receiver. Okay, it depends upon edge. Here, what I'm showing, it depends upon the edge, what you are explaining. If I want to explain this edge, okay, so here, let me take this. I want to explain this edge, which is in a red color. So I am considering that at right now, A block as a sender, okay, here, and B block as receiver. Okay, is the annotations are visible for you? Please do reply in the chat box. Annotation, something I am drawing, is it visible? Yes, okay, right, okay, that will be helpful. Okay, next what I do is here, okay, this side, if I am trying to define yellow color edge, sorry, this I should make a left arrow mark. Okay, so I'm explaining B as the source, B as the source, A as the receiver. So that means what here? Both A and B can be sender and receiver at any moment of a time. At any moment of the time. Okay, so it depends. If, and also one more thing is, both activities at a time will not happen. Means what? A sending also receiving, B sending also receiving will not happen. At a time, either red color will operate or yellow color will operate. Both operation will not take place at a time. Okay, that's what point for asynchronous. Okay, so next. Okay, right. Okay, coming back to this portion, I mean some definitions of UART. It's a asynchronous. There is nothing called clock signal. At any moment of a time, sending will start. Any moment of a time, receiving will also start. But what is important thing is there should be predefined agreement. Predefined agreement means what? A should announce earlier, from this time to this time, I will send. B should come to know at this time to this time it should receive. Okay, so suddenly if both start sending or both start receiving, that makes a inefficient communication channel or communication protocol. So that should not happen. Okay, and since it is asynchronous, there is no need of a clock signal. Okay, and also while sending a byte of data, start a bit added first and stop the bit at end of the bit stream. So start bit and stop bits are added for every packet of the data, whatever is transmitted from and received to at the other end. Okay. So now what are the important features we should concentrate if we are implementing is baud rate. Baud rate means I am sending 5 packets every second and he is receiving every second 3 packets, means every second he is going to lose a data of 2 packets. So in the same way, he is sending 5 packets and I have a capacity of receiving 8 packets, means my work is lesser by 3 packets. That means baud rate means how much I am sending, how much he is receiving, both should be same. Vice versa also. Okay. So if that is the case, then asynchronous receiver, universal asynchronous receiver transmission is a correct option. Okay. So here I have explained a diagram. So we left with less than a minute. Please give your attendance. Okay. Meanwhile, I will try to finish this UART. Okay. Please concentrate this on this theoretical concept. We have one lab program also. Okay. So here both, as I mentioned, both are called as receiver as well as sender. And also since there is a pre-agreement, as A starts sending, B has to stop sending. That means what? If this edge is existing right now for a moment or predefined time, the other edge will not exist. So what happens if both starts exit is, both start for exist is, so possibility of mismatch of this baud rate or data lose may happen or inefficient usage of the resources. That should not